When we turn to food for comfort or for ease or for emotional regulation, we are in the moment doing the best we know how to take care of ourselves. It's really important that you see and you understand that this isn't you being crazy or working against yourself. It's you attempting to use a tool that works in the moment to try to care for yourself. Today we're talking about how to handle our emotions, how to handle our feelings without turning to food. Now, this is a question that has come up multiple times over the last couple of weeks, and so I really wanted to take time and create a video providing you with some tools to help you better understand what's happening with your feelings and with your emotions so that you can understand how to allow them, how to process them, and even how to learn from them. Personally, I think that emotions and knowing how to be with them is something that should be taught to us in school when we are very young, because so many of us grow up thinking that our emotions are wrong or that our emotions aren't safe, or maybe like our parents or somebody in our life didn't know how to meet us in that space. And so we just kind of learned how to turn away from our emotions, and we continue those patterns throughout the years. But what I want you to understand is that your emotions are perfectly safe. They are harmless. They cannot hurt you. And not only can they not hurt you, they actually have a lot to communicate with you. They are like little messengers that want to share information with you about you. So learning how to recognize them and make space for them and open up to them is a really powerful tool, not only for weight loss, but really just for life in general. Now, before I jump into the video, I want to remind you that I have a free 3-part Jumpstart Mind Body Weight Loss series, okay? It's 3 videos that you can watch, each with a very tangible, doable, applicable tool to get you started moving forward with your weight loss goals in a kind, sustainable way that's going to give you a little bit more clarity and a little bit more ease. So if that's something that is of interest to you, go down to the description box below and make sure that you grab that. Eating emotionally has different layers to it, right? We've talked about this in other videos, but think about it like this. There are many times in our lives when we choose to eat emotionally, and it has a perfectly healthy place in our life. For instance, it's your kid's birthday and there's cake and you decide to have some cake. You're not eating cake because you're hungry, right? You're eating cake to celebrate. It is emotionally driven. Or maybe it's the summertime and you're on vacation and you're getting an ice cream cone with your family. Again, that is a pleasurable experience. It's emotionally driven. You're not eating it because you need fuel or you need energy for your body. It's for pure pleasure, okay? That's not really what we're talking about in this video. The type of emotional eating that we're referring to in this video is when we are turning to food, whether that be consciously or unconsciously, as a way to solve for emotion. Right? Meaning there is some type of emotion in the body, some type of sensation in the body that we are not comfortable with. And I think it's important to note this can be a positive or a negative emotion, right? It doesn't only have to be emotions that don't feel good. For some people, when they're very excited or when they have a lot of positive energy in the body, that is uncomfortable, right? And then instead of being in that space with ourselves, we try to get away from it. And you could do this if you're lonely, sad, frustrated, stressed. You plug in the emotion, but then the solution or the attempted solution that we do is we turn to food. And as we know, food cannot solve for feelings, but it does create a very temporary sidestep. It does create a sense of ease or distraction, which can feel good in the moment, but it's extremely temporary. And when that eating experience is over, we are still left with this emotion, right? So it really does not serve in the long run, specifically when you're trying to lose weight, right? Because you're going to end up taking in more food than your body needs. And then what do? We think we have a food problem when really we have a I'm not sure how to allow and process my emotions problem. But before I jump into the 4 steps, another point that I think ties perfectly into this conversation is the idea that I think so many of us have really truly bought into this false belief system that we are supposed to feel happy and good all of the time. And this just is not true. This is not what the human experience is. And when you constantly think, or if you truly believe anytime you have a feeling or an emotion that doesn't feel good, you think something has gone wrong, you're going to want to get away from that feeling. I love, I once read in a book that was by Brene Brown. I don't remember the book off the top of my head, but she said in that book that we only have the ability to feel as high as we are willing to feel low. Right? And so if you are not willing to allow those lower vibration emotions, the ones that don't feel so good, if you don't allow them and you don't spend time with them, you also kind of rob yourself of feeling the really high highs. And then what happens is we kind of live in this like mediocre zone. And that is simply because we are not allowing the totality of life, right? We're not allowing the totality of who we are and what we are. And so I just want to say that first, because I do think it's really important that we drop this idea that we're always supposed to feel like $1 million and we let it be okay that sometimes we feel good and sometimes we don't. And while the don't part isn't the most enjoyable experience, it certainly doesn't mean that anything has gone wrong. So I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper, because I'm going to give you some exercises to really help you understand this a little bit deeper for yourself, okay? When we think about eating emotionally, I want you to first remember step one. This is not you sabotaging yourself. This is not you working against yourself. When we turn to food for comfort or for ease or for emotional regulation, we are in the moment doing the best we know how to take care of ourselves. It's really important that you see and you understand that this isn't you being crazy or working against yourself. It's you attempting to use a tool that works in the moment to try to care for yourself, right? But I like to think of it like it's a tool, but we need more tools in our toolkit, okay? So here's the first exercise I want you to do. I want you on the left side of your paper to write pros, and on the right side of your paper to write cons. And on the left side of the paper, I want you to write down all of the ways that turning to food emotionally has helped you, has supported you, okay? So maybe it has comforted you. Maybe it has given you a sense of ease. Maybe it has given you a sense of distraction when you really needed it, right? Explore how using food has actually been a tool that did have a positive result for you on some level. It's important to notice this, because every single thing we do for good reason. We are brilliant creatures, my friends, okay? So stop thinking that you're working against yourself. That's never what's happening. We have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. Then on the right side of the paper, where we have the cons, I want you to explore the ways that turning to food to help deal with emotions has negatively affected you. Maybe it has created the result of feeling uncomfortable in your body, feeling like you have too much food, feeling bloated, right? So physically uncomfortable on some level. Or maybe it has created a sense of isolation. Or maybe it has created some negative emotions and frustrations. You know, I just want you to explore it, and I really want you to do this from a place of curiosity, okay? No judgment, just fascination and interest with self. And once you have this written down, it's just for you to have, okay? It's simply an awareness tool. There's nothing that you need to do with it. There's nothing that you need to jump in and change and fix. I just want you, again, to gather more awareness about yourself and what is going on. Now, when it comes to our emotions and what we can do with them, I know a lot of you ask me, like, how exactly do I allow or process an emotion? So that's what I want to give you next, okay? Step one is always, always, always pause and notice. Pause and notice, okay? So that is always going to be the step one. Notice that something is arising within you. Notice that you are feeling the discomfort or the irritability or the restlessness, right? Just notice what's coming up in your body. That's step one. Pause, notice. Step two is going to be to try to notice the sensations that you are experiencing in your body. Remember that a feeling, an emotion, is a sensation that is experienced in the body. Once we have a name for it, like we've just labeled it, okay, that's a communication thing, and we're gonna get there. But before that, it's a sensation. And that sensation is not taking place in the mind, it's taking place in the body. So if you're noticing emotion coming up, and a lot of times our red flag is that we have a desire to eat, right? We want to go have that snack, but we're not hungry. So we're like, oh, okay, pause, awareness. Can I drop into my body and see what is happening? Oh, like my chest feels really tight. My stomach is fluttering. My heart is beating fast. My throat feels dry, right? What are the sensations of this feeling, of this emotion that are taking place in your body? See if you can connect to that as the next step, okay? Once you're able to do that, try to match that up to a label, right? To a name of an emotion, whether that's happy, sad, frustrated, guilt, shame, overwhelm, lonely, anxious. I mean, so many to choose from, right? But again, noticing that sensation and then seeing, can you identify what that feeling is? What would that feeling be called? Okay. So we've created a pause. We have some awareness. We've experienced the sensation of what's taking place in the body. And we think it's this emotion. Okay. This is what it looks like to allow and connect to an emotion, right? Through this whole process, there is no judgment. We're meeting ourselves with curiosity, and we are well aware of the fact that nothing has gone wrong, right? Nothing, there's no problem here. We're just meeting ourselves and we're allowing ourselves to be exactly where we are. Once you're able to name the emotion, right, that is presenting itself, I then want you to ask yourself, what do I need to deal with my current present feelings? What do I need to deal with these emotions? And we want to remind ourselves that food does not solve for anything other than physical hunger, okay? So you're looking to solve for this emotion. Right now you're turning to food. Food can't solve for it. So we're asking ourselves, what is it that I actually need here? And I'm going to give you an example in a minute, okay? Once you can identify that, then you're going to explore, how can I fulfill this need without food? How can I do that? Okay, so that is the process, but let's put it into play here. Let me give you an example. So let's say it's the evening, you've already eaten dinner, you're in your pajamas, you're watching your favorite show on the couch, and you have a strong sensation, a strong desire, right? You want to go get some snacks, but you have told yourself day in and day out that we're no longer eating snacks late at night on the couch when we're not hungry. But there's something going on there, right? So we're going to pause. We're creating awareness. Something's going on here. Second step, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to drop into the body. What am I physically feeling? And you're going to notice what's happening in the body. Is your heart rate fast? Are you irritable? Is there a pit in your stomach? Are you hot? Are you cold? You're going to look for the sensations. That's your phase one. Look for the sensations. Then you're going to put a name to it, right? Oh, interesting. These sensations feel like what we call loneliness. These sensations feel like what one would call boredom, right? And we want to put a name to it. Then we're going to ask ourselves, okay, well, if I am feeling bored, and this is happening every single night on the couch around the same time, the next question becomes, what do I need to deal with my boredom? And this is where I tell you that your emotions, your feelings, they are messengers. They're trying to tell you something about you, right? Okay, if we're bored every now and again, no big deal. Just be bored, right? Same thing we tell our kids. It's okay, just be bored sometimes. A lot of good things can come out of boredom. And what could be born out of just being with boredom instead of going to get your snack? That could be an interesting thing to explore. Like, what would be born from that space? Another thing would be what would I like to do in my life if I'm bored every single night on the couch? Do I want a hobby? Do I maybe want to join a club? Do I want to read a book? Do I want to do something that maybe invites more creativity into my life? If you're feeling an emotion every single day, right, it's got information for you. The question becomes, what do I need to know about it? Right? What can I do about it? So when you ask yourself about boredom, like, how do we answer boredom without food? I think we have multiple options. I think one, we get to just be bored, just like you would tell a young kid, and see what grows out of that space. Or two is explore. What are some things I would like to dive into? Or what are some things I'd like to explore, play with, experiment with, etc. All of these emotions come with a message and with a reason that is for you. It's trying to help you to move you forward, elevate, inspire, etc. Right? So just keep that in mind, that even though it might not feel like the most pleasant place to go, something is going to come out of that process when we stop avoiding that space. Okay? Okay. So I hope that you found this helpful. You now have a applicable process to put into play when it comes to noticing, allowing, and processing your emotions. Okay? If you have any specific questions about it, please bring it down to the comment section below. I hope this was helpful for you. I want to continue to create content like this that's going to help to support you on your health, wellness, and or weight loss journey. So please keep the comments, the questions coming because it's really helpful. Okay, have a lovely day and I'll see you back here in the next video. Cheers.